with my two co-hosts over here. My man from across the seas, one Mr. Dave Elliott.
Oh, me? Hello.
Oh, man. And then his neighbor, that's what, south of you, right? Southeast?
No,
yeah.
Southwest.
Southwest? All right. Excuse me, I'm not a geography whiz, people. The one and only Mr. Chris Buse. Yeah.
Hi, how are you? I hope everybody has a nice Halloween weekend, despite this shit going on in the world. But it's another layer of Halloween. Think of it like that.
I didn't have a single trick-or-treater last night.
You wanted a trick-or-treat? I was so happy it wasn't disturbed. My daughter actually stepped out with a couple of friends. They tried to get some stuff, and that's what happened. Hello, everybody. What's up, Vika? What's up, Nick? What's up, Manny the Collector? How's everybody doing? Thanks for tuning in to the new International Comics Collective. Right now, Comics Crusaders. Jeez. Oops, the old name. It's still in me, everything. It's just got this crazy energy going on because today we're going to touch upon a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It's horror. All right? Because obviously with yesterday being Halloween, why not? We're going to touch about a lot of comics and horror. And come on, we all know when it comes to horror, there's somebody on this particular page right now that is always working on something special and kind of dives into certain themes that are like, wow, you know. Chris, what have you been up to lately?
Yeah, I've been working on, another column in my horror series. And if you're waiting for it, it's coming very soon. And we continue with the black and white magazines. And this time around, I'll be talking about Mike Pluke's Monster Frankenstein and the black and white incarnation in the great Marvel magazines from the 70s, what they did there, how they ran that, and why it didn't turn out so good as Tomb of Dracula, for example. Because Tomb of Dracula is a series many people remember very fondly. Monster Frankenstein, something went wrong. I'll explore a little bit of that. Talk about Tales of the Zombie, great work on that series. And that was a very interesting series. I also get into that. But let's talk a little bit about horror in general. Maybe you have a first question. Dave, what was the first horror comic you read and why did it scare you?
Oh, I'm trying to think of, actually, I don't think horror comics ever scared me. I enjoyed, I would enjoy reading a comic that was about, whether it's Tomb of Dracula or Frankenstein. I think from a very early age, I kind of knew that, it's just fiction. So I was drawn to the stories more. I can't think of a comic that ever actually made me scared. Not even for a character. I'm trying to think of if I was ever worried that, oh my God, is that character going to die this issue? Oh my God, the cliffhanger, they're going to die. It was along those lines. I think probably the closest was a British weekly comic called Action, and there was a strip in it called Hookjaw, and this was right after Jaws had come out, and a lot of British comics would feed off what was going on films and TV, whether it was recent or in the past, but was popular. And there was this comic strip called Hookjaw, and it was called Hookjaw because there was this giant hook stuck. It was a shark that had this giant hook stuck in its jaw, and it was
that sounds like something out of sci-fi, bro.
Well, if you look it up, because it's one of the goriest comics, at least from that time period, where you'd actually have, this is like in the 70s, and you'd have like this on the. I remember one issue. They got into trouble was on the front cover was this shark tore someone in half on the front cover of the comic.
On the front cover? Not something like this, was it?
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Hookjaw. Listen, to
and
be honest.
Actually, I think Rebellion have recently put out a
yes.
collection.
Cy Spurrier, Connor Boyle, Julia Brusco and Rob Steen, they actually put out a new story, and you actually see that hook just going right through. Actually, let me show you guys the image. This is the most modern, of course, incarnation of this particular character that Dave brought up here. But something interesting for you guys that are into this type of horror. Check that out.
Whoa! Wow, interesting.
See, that kind of like, as soon as I saw that image, I immediately thought of the film series Tremor.
Okay. Yes, I remember that.
It's got that same sort of design, but yeah, Hookjaw was very, I would say, down and dirty and gritty. Like that was a very sort of polished comic cover. It looked beautiful, but it was, I remember the artwork being very gory, very sort of gritty. And in many respects, it reminded me of a lot of the sort of some of the Marvel black and white comics, like iZombie. So yeah. But yeah, that was something I thought, like, I remember seeing, like, oh wow, even actually that kind of makes me think of in 2000 AD there was a comic series called Flesh that was actually about how basically meat in the future was tough to come by. So what they did is they went back in time. They had time travel. So they basically were farming dinosaurs from the past. And so it was a strip about dinosaur cowboys, really. They all looked like it. They dressed like cowboys, and they were, rustling dinosaurs from the past.
Interesting. Wow.
And bringing them to the future as a meat supply.
Oh, fascinating.
And there was tons. And of course,
so is that how they went extinct? It wasn't no damn year, so we wound up eating them. That's what happened.
Well, kind of what their reckoning was. Well, look, they looked at history and said, well, look, the dinosaurs all got killed out by the giant meteors that hit the Earth. So apparently. So what's it going to matter if we go back and bring them to? We're not going to be changing we're not going to be changing time at all because the dinosaurs died anyway. So let's go back and, bring them all to the present day and eat them. Of course, it never went well, and lots of dinosaurs fed on lots of cowboys, but it was a great strip.
Interesting concept.
Okay, I got to stop something here. Hold on. I see a big boo-boo here.
Oops.
Yeah, not from us. It's just the application didn't listen to us. Hold on. Got to fix something. You guys could keep talking. I have to put something in the background. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
why was that on? There you go.
Yeah. So I think British comics of the or some British comics anyway of the 1970s were kind of doing what a lot of American comics were doing in the 50s, with like shock horror to get the kids in. Whoa, look at that. There's nothing better than being a young kid or a teenager and you're reading a comic and you got a monster tearing somebody apart.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I was also a little bit reminded of when you described those books. So also a little bit of the 80s and 90s. So the top violence.
Oh, it was very much. I mean, it was. This was the 70s. Late, I think. Yeah, it must have been the late 70s, getting into the early 80s, and it was getting that way. But yeah, it was. What are you going to do to make people pick you up and create some notoriety?
Indeed. Yeah.
All right, guys. I gotta stop this for a second because something went wrong. All right, this is feeding into something else that shouldn't be feeding into. So give me a sec, guys.
Are we feeding into Pornhub?
Oh no. Almost though. It's a kind of speculation, guy. My homeboy. So hold on a moment. I'm sorry. I gotta stop the broadcast.